All right, guys. Well, it is 11:02, so I think we will go ahead and get started. I know everyone is anxious to learn more about induction today. So I'm going to go ahead and just mute everyone. Not that we don't want to hear from you, but just to avoid that background echo. And then we will get started. Can everyone see my screen? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can? Corwin or Joe? Great, thanks. I can see you guys. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Courtney Burge and I am with the Monogram team, and I'm just going to go over a little bit of information today before we get started with our product demonstration. So first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We are always glad to have you and appreciate you making time in your day to come be a part of these sessions. Every week we share some different information with you, and this week we wanted to draw attention to some of the resources that we have available to you. We have a lot of designated teams that are here to support our Monogram product, and so we just wanted to give you some information that might be useful and some contacts for how to get a hold of us. So the first team I wanted to share today is our designer engagement leaders, and they work with our trade partners in Florida, New York, and Texas. And their goal is really to be a resource for the trade community. They are experts in Monogram, and they're here to help build brand awareness. They will host lunch and learns, train you on new products, introduce new products to the market, and they also teach CEUs and create some really special events around our products in their markets. So they are a wonderful resource. They do a lot of great things, and you might want to get out your camera and take a quick shot of this next slide with their contact information. This is the markets that they work in, and we just wanted you to meet them, to see their faces, and know that they are available as a resource in these markets. The next team of people that I wanted to share with you are our Monogram senior sales managers. So these were recently hired wonderful salespeople who are focused on our top 15 markets throughout the U.S. I've gotten to meet so many of these people, and they are wonderful. Their job is to work with sales associates. They train them on our new products, inform customers about our programs, and then also help with our resellers and dealers. And then they drive engagement with builders, architects, and designers in those markets where we don't have the designer engagement leaders. So they are here to be another resource for you. And again, we have a great team of people, and these are the markets where you can see where they are. And if you're in one of these markets, I would encourage you to connect with these people and get to know them as well. And then finally, you might see this familiar face here on this slide. That's Chef John, and he, myself, Corwin, and Alex are out of our Monogram Design Center, which is in Chicago, Illinois. And this is really a flagship showroom designed to offer customers a place to really get hands-on with our appliances. We offer live cooking demonstrations on site and now virtually for clients who are interested in learning more about Monogram, or for those clients that have already purchased our products. We also host designer trainings under non-COVID circumstances. We like to bring people into the showroom to really experience several days of training and learning on our products. And then we also just host a lot of really fun events out of that showroom. And speaking of myself and Corwin and Alex, we are also here to be product specialists for our consumers. And what that means is we want to help make sure that our owners have a wonderful experience and really help facilitate that by answering questions on products, troubleshooting if there happens to be an issue, providing use and care tips, and just ensuring that any questions that you might have about a Monogram appliance, we can help answer. So we just wanted to provide you some information about these teams and how we are here to help and support you. So please reach out, get to know us. It feels like we've already gotten to know so many of you on these calls, and that's what we really enjoy, and we want to be a great resource for you guys. So feel free to ask any questions in the chat if you have any. And then, as always, we want to just go over how to use Microsoft Teams. So sorry to be repetitive, but I'm sure we have a few new people joining us today, so we want to make sure that you are aware of how to use Teams. So Corwin has created this beautiful slide for us that's super helpful. Can you guys hear me? Sorry, I'm getting an echo. So the video is the little icon you can turn on. We can see your face. The microphone, as I mentioned earlier, we were going to mute everyone, but you can always unmute and ask a question if you'd like to. If you want to raise your hand, you can hit the little raise your hand button, and that way we'll know to call on you, so to speak, kind of like we're in school. And then I'd like to point out the chat box. So we love interaction. We'd love to hear from you. Ask your questions in the chat or shout us out or anything there. Feel free to chat away. And then that leads me to the participant list. And this is, I'm going to show you this so that you can pin Chef John to your screen. So if you open up by clicking on that participant icon, you'll see a list of the people who are in the meeting on the right-hand side of your screen. And what you'll want to do is scroll down until you see John Liddell. Once you've identified John, you're going to hover over those three dots, and then it'll give you the option to pin him. So we want to pin John to your screen, and that way it'll be front and center, and it'll give you that best option to see the induction cooktop. Joe, I see you. Are you pinning? So feel free, if you have questions, we can walk you through that again, but that'll give you the best viewing experience. And without any further instructions, I am going to turn this over to Chef John. So there you go, Chef John.
Courtney, thank you so much for that introduction and run through on how to use the platform that we're on today. Yeah, guys, please use the chat box. Interrupt me if you want. We love the questions. We've got a really good group on today. So I think anytime you have a question, we're willing to stop the conversation and make sure that we get that answered. If it's something that one of my colleagues decides to hold the question until later, they'll go ahead and do that, but they will ask it for you. Today, like they said, we're here talking about induction. And as a chef, induction has just been in my life for a very, very long time. You all know a little bit about me. I've cooked most of my life. It's all I really care to do, that and virtual calls with you now. But induction is something that came into my life maybe back in 99, 98. Really early on in my career. And where it kind of showed up was in the catering side, because what we found with induction, it was very, very consistent, very quick, very even. But with catering, you're always working in an environment that may have more or less breeze. You might be outside, you might be setting up multiple stations. And the idea that the direct connect to the generator below allows us to cook in windy environments without losing heat, allows us to cook quicker. It really became a staple for us, no matter where we went with our catering business, our wedding business. Whether we were on yachts, they use these on airplanes. So the elevated markets, the luxury markets, have definitely found the benefits of induction. And I'll have to say, years ago when I was first cooking on it, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't care what it was, because a lot of times as chefs, we go, holy cow, look at these results. Look at how quick I got there. Look at how cleanable it is. We discovered the benefits of it really before understanding the technology. Of course, here at Monogram, the technology, the engineering, and the craftsmanship into this product are really important. So now, not only do I know this product or induction at the end result level, but I know it from the install level and everything that's going on below this cooktop surface. So that's what I'd like to share with you all today, is the ins and outs of induction. I've got some cool props set up here just to hopefully give a little bit more scale and a little bit more show me, don't tell me kind of approach to things. So while we do that, I'll be funneling some things in, and then I've got a couple other computer positions we'll try to take a look at to give you guys a clear visual. Now, one thing I say about induction, And it's a really awful, terrible story. And it goes that I'm basically having an affair here at work with my induction cooktop versus my gas cooktop at home. I cook on gas all the time at home. Then I come to work and I do all of my work on induction. I tell my gas cooktop I love it. It's beautiful. It gives me great results. But when I come here to work, the truth is the induction gives me more performance, more cleanability. It gives me a more enjoyable cooking experience over gas. The end result, again, is the same, but the cooking journey, totally different. Now, when we get into this, and you all have heard me talk maybe before, that really induction cooking has made my life as a chef very easy, and as somebody that works for an appliance brand, very easy as well, because if you're into an electric fueled cooking technology, induction is for you. But if you like gas cooking technology, obviously we have that too. But whether you pick induction or gas, it's not a bad choice. It really isn't. Again, the end result of cooking that chicken breast, that pork chop is the same. It's the journey or the connection to your appliance that is different. And one person might have a more elevated, supported experience on an induction top, making that chicken breast, and the other person goes, you know what, that wasn't really for me because I couldn't see the blue flame, or the timing is a little different and I'm not learning to cook anything, or not learning to, I don't want to learn a new cooking method is what I meant to say. So with that, two great choices, same result, but we really get to tailor it into the individual and what they want in the kitchen. Now, when it comes to the induction cooktop, guys, we've got a few different offerings. When it comes to the sizes, we have a 30-inch and a 36-inch. Today, I'm in front of our 36-inch, and you can see it in the silver color. We also have a black graphite color that comes in both sizes. And the 36-inch size, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 burners. When we go down to the 30-inch model, we will only stay at 4. With those burners, it's different than when we talk about gas. With gas, we talk about what? BTU. I'm not going to tell you guys what that means. If you don't know, you have to look it up. But BTU literally only tells us how much power that gas burner gives us. So 20,000 BTU, 15,000 BTU. And no recipe says turn your gas burner to 20,000 BTU, right? So just like on gas, the BTU is only to kind of measure up how much power you need or kind of rate us versus the competition. Same is true on induction. Each one of these eyes or burners has a different wattage rating, just so we can see how powerful it is. So we have 7-inch, 2 7-inch circles here that give us 2,500 watts. I'll tell you what that means in a bit, but that's kind of like our more mid-range burner right here. Up here in the top right, which is also available on the 30-inch, is our melt burner. We bring that wattage down to about 1,800 watts. This little guy, or this larger burner here, is our 8-inch burner, and we go at 3,200 watts on there. The big guy, kind of that center burner, doing large cookware, high heat searing, all of the heavy work. Here in the center, we have 3,700 watts. So when you're shopping for yourselves, for a customer, go ahead and add up those wattages, look at it. It's a great way to see what one company is going to do versus the other. We supply electrical power to the with that wattage with a 240 volt hookup, as well as a 50 amp breaker. So with all that wattage and all of that voltage and amperage talk, this has a ton of power going to it. The cool thing is about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 burners or the 4 burners is that we can actually run 4 pans on high at any given time, because to control those burners below the surface is actually 3 generators. And what we know about induction cooking is that those generators are smart. It's not like a burner on your gas cooktop where you turn on the burner and you hold your hand over it and you go, oh yeah, that's hot. If you move your hand over here, your hand is now cold, right? I cannot send that flame over there. With the 3 generators below the surface, they actually help supply heat together to all the different cooking points on our cooktop. So when we have 3 generators, that means we can turn 3 pans on high at any given time. So when we're shopping for customers or talking about the Monogram brand and where we excel, we can do 3 pans on high at any given time, where a lot of companies, a lot of folks just do 2 generators, and you start to lose functionality, and really you start to lose the performance that Induction brings to the party. Now, when we install our Induction cooktops, whether it's 30-inch silver, 30-inch black graphite, or 36-inch, we have a couple of options on it because no matter the model, it only drafts about 4 5/8 inches deep. I say draft, I'm a boater, so sometimes I get those terminologies mixed up. It's only about 4 5/8 inch deep. So that means I've got a big drawer installed below there. You can put a wall oven down below there. So, you know, if you had a client that was looking for a specific oven, they're a baker, I might have one for you. You want a speed oven, I might have one for you. And you want to install that underneath, even if it's an apartment space or the main living space, guest quarters, it's fun to put those together. We actually have that install spec ready for you, so you can pop that in underneath. Put a warming drawer if you want. But for me, I really like the drawer under here where I got all my spoons stored. I got big containers for when I make my stock. So it actually makes me perform and move around the kitchen just a little bit better there. The install options, though, whether you do anything below here or not, are that we can go actually a little bit raised above the countertop where the glass is almost floating. And guys, again, my wife picks out my clothes and makes sure that I get my hair cut the way I need it. So I'm not a designer at all. So that floating glass, if you guys tell me that looks beautiful and you love it, I'm with you. If you go, you know what, not quite clean enough, John, more minimalist, I want this thing just to disappear. You can actually put it flush with the countertop, fully flush, just like you see here. I'm told when you do that install, you better have a pretty good fabricator on your stone. They don't let me test that out, so I know that it's within like an eighth of an inch here, and then you can do silicone. I believe you can do kind of like a grout seal around there, match your countertop up. So again, just a little bit about the install, a little bit about the product that we have to offer there. Now, I get the question a lot, and anytime you guys have those, John, gas versus induction, what's better? I love them both. But what I like in new builds are the folks that come to me and go, John, you know what? Today I want this, tomorrow I might want something different. I might sell the house, and the next client might go, ooh, do I have to have that induction top? Well, technically no, if you make sure you run the gas line below there and run the 240 power. So I have a lot of clients these days that go, John, I'm in love with induction. I love this minimal look, but I just want to make sure that resale is good. Because people really don't have a problem with switching out a cooktop or something like that to make the house perfectly tailored for them. So they run the gas line and the electric there, and then it makes it easy in the future just to kind of make those changes. And of course, as an appliance company, we like it when you leave the options open for more appliances. So other than that, I think that's just a little bit about the install and sizes. We're going to get more into the performance of it, but I want to point out one other thing, because to me, when I look around the internet and walk through the merchandise mart where I'm at today and look and peek at everybody else's showrooms, it still seems to be a pretty big, I don't know if it's a trend or if it's just still around, those stainless steel trim kits that go around the outside of your induction top and make them feel just a little bit bulky or chunky or whatever the design word is there. We don't do that. So that's not even an option. Everything is clean, everything is floating, whichever you pick. So we really clean that up, make it minimal if you want. If you didn't want that stainless in your kitchen, you don't have to have it. It doesn't have to be there. When we get into the performance, guys, this is where the conversation really gets fun from a chef standpoint, because the energy transfer, the cleanability, the controls, some of the smart aspects of this unit are just above and beyond what gas can give me. You understand that, years ago when we worked on commercial ranges are not smart. They're not smart technology. You can turn them on, the gas flame is really great, but there's no computer boards in there. They're built to be heavy. They're built to last forever, even if they never gave you performance. On induction, it's totally different. We have tons of technology in here. What we know now about doing wall oven trainings and sitting in maybe even on our 5-in-1 training that was so fun last Thursday is that when we start putting more technology in there and taking the knobs away, knobs limit us to how many times we can turn that dial, and regulators can't really be controlled electronically. When we start taking that away and giving us a clean computer board, it allows us to use it as a building block to do more with. So when you see this demonstration here today, you're going to say that definitely has the advantage of technology built into it. And I can't believe where they're at today, but I really am curious to see where they're going to go in the future. So now, performance. Those generators is where we're going to start. Generators are what creates, basically sends the heat to the pan. But different than a gas flame where you turn on that gas flame and the gas flame comes up, shoots up and hits the bottom of the pan right away. That's a direct kind of heating, right? It's a little different from that because the generator below the surface here never gets hot. Right now, I can turn that generator on. Let me see if I can bring you guys just a little bit closer real quick. See if I still have long enough arms to reach this. All right. All right, so I'm not sure. Let me turn the lighting off here. That looks a little bit better. You guys can, yeah, I think you can see that, just barely see that right now. That center dial here is where I want to work on. And when I activate that center dial, and these are all glide touches, so I can actually swipe up with my finger and you see that start to illuminate, right? And swipe down. Right now, what I've done is told the generator here on the center burner that I'm getting ready to cook. I want it to be on high, but the generator below the surface never gets hot. What happens is the generator says, I'm being asked to do something. So right now the generator is emitting a 1-inch magnetic field across the cooktop surface. That magnetic field is searching for something. It's searching for the ferrous metals or the iron content in your pan. And when that pan connects with that magnetic field, the generator goes, aha, I can send the current directly through the glass into the pan. So just like when that gas flame comes on and touches it, as soon as the gas flame hits the bottom, the pan starts getting hot on the inside too. Same thing now, as soon as that magnetic field connects with the structure of the pan, now the pan gets hot basically directly, but 5 times faster than gas because we're passing it through the pan into the iron content or the ferrous metals right here, right at the cooktop surface. And we're doing that at about in like the high 90s on efficiency rate. So like 95 to 98% of the heat that comes, or the energy that goes into that generator actually turns into heat in the bottom of your pan. Does anybody out there know the efficiencies of gas? Nobody? Just throw out a number.
John, but I do have a quick question.
Okay.
So if there is no trim around the glass, is there any concern about the edges of the glass getting nipped?
Oh, sure. There could be some concern. I'm not sure what kind of parties you all have. But dancing on the countertop, you got the big platter or the vodka bottle that hits up against it. Sure, it's a little bit more fragile. It's not an indestructible surface whatsoever. That said, I had it installed here in the showroom like that for a number of years where I'm pushing platters around and serving people over the cook line kind of buffet style. And I never broke or chipped one. But sure, it could be a little concern, but I've never seen it. happen. And I would believe that, you know, someone would walk in the showroom at some point of these last 7 years of speaking about induction and go, John, mine chipped, you said it wouldn't. And I haven't seen that yet either. So I think you're in pretty good hands with that if that's the style you like. It wouldn't deter me from that install whatsoever. Great question. Okay, so now, when we come back to this pan here, and I'm having trouble with my camera angles today. So when we turn this center burner on, you're gonna see the center of that lighted up area start to blink. That means exactly what I told you earlier. You've asked to start cooking on the cooktop surface, but unless you put the pan down on it, it will never connect and it will never get hot. And I heard you say, Joe, 75% efficiency maybe for gas. I mean, if you had the perfectly sized pan with the perfectly sized burner, maybe you'd get 75% out of that. More than likely, you're gonna run 40 to 60% efficiencies on a lot of gas burners. And what that means is something else in your house has to make up for that lost heat. Because as the gas flame comes up, it hits the bottom of the pan. Let's say we even grab 75% of it and it turns into heat on the top. The other 25% just escapes somewhere. That's why you better have good ventilation. That's why you better have a window open if it's getting too hot in the kitchen. Where on induction, it only connects with the circumference of that pan. So when I put my computer back, I can show y'all. Hey, Alex, jump up and just tilt that forward towards me a little bit. Just about a ½ inch, keep going, perfect. All right, so when I put this pan on this center burner, it's actually only going to heat the circumference of the pan. So if I put the pan off to the side, the generator or the magnetic field is smart enough to just connect with the pan. So even though I have a 10-inch pan on an 11-inch burner, it's only going to heat 10 inches of the pan. The other inch of square surface around the sides never gets hot. So not only do we absorb not high 90s in efficiency of that heat produced by the generator, we also don't overdo it. So we're not trying to heat the outer rim of this because there's no iron content or ferrous metals there. Now, different than gas, because you guys you've all seen gas burners turn on, and you turn them on and you just kind of see that Johnny Cash ring of fire, right? And that ring of fire is true. It's true in the fact that it hits the outsides of the pan first, and that's where the pan gathers the heat. You wait and wait, and hopefully it distributes and becomes even on the whole face of the pan. But when you drop chicken breasts on there, they drop the whole temperature of the pan at the same time and create an uneven heating surface, because as the gas flame recovers that temperature, it really recovers around the outside edges first. Now, on induction, I said magnetism. We use magnetism, a magnetic field in there created by the generator. Well, that generator produces that magnetic field evenly and true. So when the heat is sent, or the current is sent through the glass into the pan, and the heat is created in the pan, it's not just kind of created in a weird X pattern or a circle or square, whatever. It's created evenly across the whole face. Just like if you took a refrigerator magnet and stuck it to a refrigerator, and the whole face of the magnet sticks. Think of the heat sticking to the whole bottom of this pan in that same way. So with induction, generator technology, ferrous metals, iron content, we heat this pan up to 5 times faster on preheat cycle than another pan. We boil water 5 times faster than gas style cooking. But we do it that much more evenly as well. So that's a little bit about how we're going to transfer that heat. And when we transfer it, it's important to know when we talk about the different wattages in these burners, like we said, we have 1800 watts up here. I always get that question. Okay, John, you told me about the generator. You told me about how the heat transfers. We get it, it's science, it's culinary magic, whatever you want to use there. But how does that translate to me, who has cooked on gas my whole life, let's say? How do I know which burner to use? And am I going to get the high heat? And am I going to get the low heat? Or am I just going to get something that's pretty and makes my food that doesn't taste good look good on top of it? The answer is you get the full range of temperatures on induction, just like you get on gas. So we designated your melt burner. I told you it was 1800 watts for your melt burner. What does that mean? You guys know the idea of melting chocolate over an open flame. I take my butter sauces and keep them warm there without them breaking for my different snapper picadas and a group of fried diablos that I make. So we use this melt burner at a very low temperature. What does melt mean? It means it's not going to simmer. It means it's not going to burn. It means you're basically going to get bored with that temperature at some point and turn it up, because it is so gentle that I do even find myself, even if I'm trying to keep hollandaise, I can keep hollandaise warm in a pan on that melt temperature. But just before I serve it, I like to turn it up a little bit to get a little extra heat. So it's very, very gentle. But on the high end, we can get these pans up to 550, 600, almost 600 degrees, I should say, in a matter of about 45 to 50 seconds. And when we crank it up, that pan immediately connects with the generator. And I always use in person a little thermal gun here, pretty hard to see. But I use that thermal gun when folks are sitting in front of me, because you can actually see it coming up. And right now, in the explanation of just the thermal gun, I'm at 250 degrees of heat on that pan, even heat. I don't have to wait for it to disperse. So whether we're getting ready to fry an egg and we get up to temperature real quick, or we want to sear a big, thick pork chop, we have the advantage of not having to let our patience get in our way of good results. Because I've watched many people cook in the kitchen, whether they're great chefs or not, at the end of the day at home, when we go home, we turn that pan on and we go, gotta be hot enough, throw the chicken in. And what happens is the pan is not hot enough on a gas cooktop, and you don't get the caramelization, you don't get to render fats, you don't get the flavor you want of that beautiful organic chicken breast we have to have. Well, on induction, you only need about 30 seconds of patience to get a true sear. And it could be the best sushi grade tuna, it could be chicken piccata, it could be sauteed veggies. You're gonna get the high heat that you want without having to wait for it. That's why a lot of times I do my searing on the induction cooktop, because it gets to that high heat. It really produces every amount of temperature that I need. And I know we all have this problem at home, and you guys tell me if you don't, or if you've never experienced it, and I'll ship you 5 chicken breasts and you can experience it for yourself. And that is overloading a pan on gas. We overload a pan. If you have a pan that's 10 inches like this, it fits about 4 chicken breasts. You always put 5 in. You just overload it. You just cram them in there. You got a little daylight. Who cares? Well, on gas, that chicken breast degrades the oil, drops the temperature of the pan. The pan only recovers on the rings first. And then you go to turn those chicken breasts over, and they're uninspired. They're not caramelized. They're not elevated. And you go, well, man, I should have just gotten one of those 2-day-old rotisserie chickens from the grocery store and ate that. Not a fun way to live. But on induction, you take that same idea, put the pan on high for 30 seconds, and put 5 chicken breasts in. Because we send the heat to the pan 5 times faster, it recovers my mistake. Because we send heat to the pan 5 times faster, the moisture never has time to degrade the oil. The temperature stays at a saute temperature, which is high. Saute does not mean high heat and then drop it down to low and then bounce it back to the middle and then back up to the top. No, we would never be able to do that. We need high heat for great caramelization. And whether you put that chicken breast left, right, center, or in this case, a nice fat bone-in pork chop with my little smoky apple water brine on there, it doesn't matter where I put that pan. I'm going to get perfect results. I love that because you know what? Sure, I'm trained. I've done this my whole life. I can sear, saute, and everything. But when I go home at the end of the night, Alex is going to call me 12 times. You know, Joe might have a question about the demo today. I got to answer that email. And I still need to make my food. So I'm not paying as much of attention to what's going on in the pan. But what I am paying attention to is when I sit down at the dinner table, I still think I deserve a really nice meal that looks like a chef made it, not a chef that was doing an email. So whether you're a chef or someone like my wife that just needs a little extra help in the kitchen with technology, be it induction, to get great kind of caramelized sear results, looks pretty good. I like that idea because now, no matter whether I babysit this pork chop or not, I take the credit for it. But again, technology did all the work. So really perfect seared results there. And guys, that was a non-stick pan. Yes, chefs use non-stick pans. Yes, induction works with non-stick pan. That was an all-clad. You use whatever one you want. As long as it's induction ready, it needs to be ceramic coated, Teflon, whatever you're into. Maybe it's one of those cool copper ones. As long as it's induction ready, it's going to work. But we can go old school as well because you know it has a lot of iron content? Cast iron. This is new world cast iron where it's got a fancy finish on the bottom. I could use my grandfather's cast iron on here. Why? Because it's just true iron content. And it's going to pull the heat from that generator very quickly and very evenly. You ever take an aluminum pan on gas and a cast iron pan on gas and put them on the same BTUs and crank that power up? Which one's going to get hot first? The aluminum, the lightweight one. It's going to just absorb that heat and wick that heat away very, very quickly. Well, on induction, it's almost like an even race. Whether you have your lighter weight, not aluminum, obviously, you have your lighter weight all clad here, and you have a heavy cast iron. If I crank both of these on high, my cast iron is only going to take about 5 seconds longer to get to the temperature that my lighter weight pan has. So now, whether you're the guy or gal that goes, oh, well, I only cook on cast iron, I make everything on there, and that's just the way it's going to be, great, perfect. But maybe you're the guy or gal that goes, oh my God, this thing is so heavy. It's like hauling a ball and chain around the kitchen, and we already have one of those at home. So we can use something lightweight. Because another reason folks gravitate towards the induction top, there's no grates to move around. I get the questions. John, I've been a pro range customer my whole life. I'm not really looking to cook anything differently. I still kind of want to cook some of the same stuff, but I'm retiring. But the strength just isn't there anymore to pull that pro range apart and move those grates and everything. They go, man, this induction top really is starting to speak to me. And we talked to them about it, and that is one of the biggest things, is that there's not a bunch of moving parts, that they can use lighter weight pans and get pro range kind of heat to them very quickly. And then when they go to clean up, there is nothing to worry about whatsoever. So we got a little bit into some of the pan selection there, a little bit into the heating selection. When we get into the pans, when we get into the heating selection, you guys know we can melt, we can go high temperature, low temperature. How we control that, again, is by a glide control. And I always love everybody coming in to do hands-on cooking on the induction, because everybody wants to try to open the induction like it's their iPhone, just kind of swipe real quick and just not really even touch it. Guys, your iPhone isn't supposed to get hot, right? To the point where you can boil water on it. Maybe it will in the future, I don't know. But this product does. This product gets very hot. It's a cooking product. So when you turn this on in the showroom or you're testing it yourself for a client, hit that on button, but press it down, because it's a safety feature. It's the first step to safety on here. The next step to safety is that burner never gets hot unless there's a pan on there. So run your toy cars over it, throw your book bag on there, put the cat's food out, whatever you want to do at home, up to you. But it's going to be very safe, because after 30 seconds, even if I activate the temperature, after 30 seconds, this will shut off and go, well, Chef John was thinking he was going to cook. Now he's drinking bourbon. So we'll just close this down for the day. So it gives me a little bit of added comfort that it's not going to burn down the kitchen. When I place the pan on there, it'll allow me to activate that glide control, guys. 19 different steps on that glide control. On gas cooking, we believe gas cooking is infinite because we grab that knob, right? And we turn it a little bit, we turn it back, and we watch the flame, and we go, oh, now it's perfect, or just a little bit less. But there really are only so many adjustments that regulator can make. It's not infinite. I say that because one question I get on induction is, John, like, I mean, is the temperature settings like low, medium, high, you know, pretty similar to gas? Yeah, the answer is yes. John, do you really see any different results? No, you know, I pretty much cooked my whole bag of tricks on induction, and I've cooked that same stuff over on gas, and the end result is the same. So those 19 steps, as I like to call them, are in half steps. So it starts out on low, and I can swipe all the way up to high, which low is 1, high is that 19, and everything in between there is done in half steps. So I could just touch medium and it jumps up to medium. I could touch low and it jumps down to low. Or if I know I normally cook my eggs, let's say on 5.5, that seems to be where they come out the best. I can touch it up 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, all the way up to 5.5 and have an exact temperature every time I cook. So there's no room for error. A lot of times on gas cooktops or ranges, you have low and then you have medium. Everything in between there is, I think it was right about there. It leaves a little room for error on gas is the point I'm getting at. Now, some other safety features on this are, and guys, there's probably not a Monogram appliance that I have not experienced safety features on. I say it's part of my job, but more than likely, you know, I just burned something that day or I just walked away, and then I got to realize the safety features. I love induction because, again, let's say I've got that great sushi grade tuna, I'm getting ready to sear it, a little sesame on there, we'll throw some soy, garlic, and ginger in with it maybe, do a little quick blessing on it, and I turn that pan on and throw my sesame oil to get it hot. And again, the boss calls. Oh boy, grab the phone, now I'm on the phone, 5 minutes go by and I go, oh shoot, I was getting ready to put the tuna in the pan and I never shut it off. This has a heat sensor where when this pan runs dry for too long, it knows that no recipe has been written to run your pan on 600 degrees for 5 minutes. Why would you? You should be putting food in it by then. When it gets to that point, it's going to shut down, make sure that everything is safe. Another reason that would be a big benefit, you're boiling pasta water, you fall asleep, and the pan boils dry. Eventually, that burner will shut down and keep you from ruining your home and ruining your cooktop. The other thing that we have in here is I call it, I don't know I have to ask the actual marketing term for it. I made up my own, as I sometimes do, and that is a catastrophic overflow sensor. So when you get enough moisture on this cooktop surface, the cooktop will shut off. It figures you did not want to boil cream all over a 36-inch cooktop. So when it senses that moisture on the cooktop, it will actually shut the cooktop off and stop the burning, boiling process. But because when that boils over, because when we create heat on induction, remember, the current goes through the glass into the pan. The pan is the only thing we ask to get hot. The glass will get hot only from reflective heat. Just like if I take a warm pan and set it on my hand is going to absorb that heat. So the glass absorbs that heat. But because the high heat was only created in the pan, when your cream overflows, it doesn't burn on to the induction surface. So you get that catastrophic overflow, induction shuts off, and I've done this with heavy cream, pasta water. The messiest I ever did was about 2 gallons of fryer oil. I was getting ready for an event, and I forgot I was working on a small fryer, not a commercial fryer. Boy, did I put a big load of let's say, onion rings in there, and the oil just came up everywhere and shut down the cooktop. Because this doesn't get hot, I moved my pan, got my towels, wiped up that oil, nothing was burned on, refilled the oil, and started frying within 7 minutes. So it helped me not to create a bigger mess, having those overflow and those safety measures on there.
one of the many questions you're getting asked is cast iron on the induction cooktop.
Yeah, cast iron. There's a couple different things, and this is cast iron here, guys. It's enamel coated, and it's got a nice flat bottom. Any pans you're using on induction, this is glass, again, not indestructible. It is scratchable. I could take out my car keys right now and definitely scratch this up if I wanted to. But I've been cooking on this unit for some time now, and I have maybe a couple little micro scratches from something that would show up maybe 7 to 10 years down the line. But as long as your pan is nice and flat bottom, it's going to not leave any marking on here at all. And when we talk about cast iron, that's very important because there's different brands of cast iron, like Lodge and a couple others, that actually have like a little raised lip on the side. And that little raised lip can actually cause some interference with the delivery of the current to the pan, as well as some scratching around your cooktop surface. Now, I have my grandfather's cast iron, and he used to use it camping and make bacon in it, and it's all beat up. So if I wanted to use his cast iron on the induction top, I just take a towel like this and set his cast iron on top of it, and I can cook right through the towel because the magnetic field just penetrates through the towel and passes the current into the pan. And then it would allow me not to scratch the glass cooktop. But yeah, cast iron, yeah, more cast iron is always better. Just be careful of the flat bottom.
Chef John?
Yes.
Can you do that manually just to help keep things clean? If you're getting like cooking something with a lot of fat, could you put that towel down and just do that normally?
That's a great idea. So the question is, you're frying bacon, you're doing the fried salmon or whatever you're dropping into the fryer these days, you sure could. Whether it's under the pan here, maybe off to the side, who knows what kind of countertops we've got installed these days that might get a little extra oil on them. So you can really cover the whole surface and cook through it. You don't want to do that for an extended period of time because there still is heat being sent back down to the towel. But for quick cooks, there's not an issue with that whatsoever. I've even seen people take, it's a French product and it's used in baking. It's called a soap pad. I think it's spelled exactly how it sounds, but it's kind of like a piece of silicone that's cut out to go on your cookie tray. And you cannot stick anything to it. You could melt toy soldiers on there. You could put toy cars on there and put them in the oven. And you just be able to peel them right off after they come out of the oven. They use it for candy work. When you see different sugars in different forms, they're using it for that. And I've seen people even buy a couple of those, and they're dishwasher safe, and lay those down to use as little dampers. So yeah, a few different options that you can cook through out there. When it comes to other pans, guys, we give you this nice stainless clad griddle. We don't give this to you because we want you to hope that you can griddle cook on our unit here. We give it to you because whether you're in the 30 or the 36, we have your two smaller burners over here that are actually bridged. So this bridge element here helps to carry the heat to the center of the pan. You know how on gas, you get a little bit of that dead area in the center when you're griddle cooking. Induction, you get much smaller dead area in there because the current actually helps it kind of bleed into the center a little bit more. What we do though is give you two burners down on the bottom that you can sync. So now you can control the temperature equally with one finger and it controls both zones. Should you want to just make eggs up here and you're baking down at the bottom though, you can control both of those zones separately. When we ask the question about cast iron, a lot of folks love this griddle, but then they get one like for steaks and stuff, but they might get a different one that's non-stick or cast iron for your eggs or your pancakes on Saturday. But we added those bridge burners in there because we gave you the performance in this center burner of basically a pro range, 18,000 BTUs. So then we're like, well, we'll give them a nice griddle over here. So we got, pro range kind of heating here. We've got a griddle over here. So when we start putting these pieces together, we take what most folks used to call electric style cooking, and now it rivals gas cooking. It rivals pro range cooking because that customer that lived with that pro range their whole life and had that griddle and had that high BTU, if they're going into this, or a person that just wants the cleanability of this, you're losing nothing. You get the same performance, same great results that you can get in almost any of our products, just in a totally different design. Let me see here. We have a couple other things in here, guys, as far as safety and usability. We have child lockout. You know, we're putting in that in all of our products these days, just about, so I can lock out all these. Sometimes it's wife or husband lockout too. Whoever drinks too much bourbon or red wine in the house, just lock them out of that. I had a brother-in-law that needed that feature at some point. Also has a timer, so it's built in right there. Set your timer right on the control panel. You don't think about how convenient that is until you get it. You can actually set a timer for 5 different burners on here as well. So you could have one going off for the stuffing, one going off for the gravy and the mac and cheese, and you'll know exactly when everything is done. You're gonna need a little bit of extra prep work to get 5 things going and timed out at the same time. I would have a feeling by the time you got the 5th one on, Joe, you gotta get the first one off right away. So, but it's kind of fun to be able to have more control. If we have the technology, like I said, with the computer boards in there, if we had 6 burners, we could have 6 timers. So the sky's the limit when we start pumping technology into the unit. Now, other thing I want to talk about here, guys, is smart technology in here, smart accessories. So sous vide cooking. It's French again. It's another French word I know. I can spell it actually. S-O-U-S-V-I-D-E, sous vide. Been around for a long time, used in France, it's a slow way of cooking things precisely. Used to cost you $800 to $1,200 to sous vide cook at home. It's come down considerably from then. And what we decided to do was build in a sous vide accessory with Bluetooth technology into our induction cooktop. I will let you guys do a little research on your own about sous vide, but what I like to say, it's kind of like maybe more than 10 years ago now, when backyard smokers became a big thing, and there's a lot of big brands out there, and you know, people hadn't even seen a whole pork shoulder in their life, but one day for Father's Day, you know, they're like, I'm gonna get me one of them smokers, and $1,500 later and a half an hour's YouTube research, they put a pork shoulder in their smoker. And now there's beautiful backyard barbecue across the country. And those are folks that just had an interest in cooking. They just said, I heard of this. My chef at this restaurant said, you might want to look into this or that. So with sous vide, it's the same idea. 30 minutes of YouTube research. Any recipe you've made in any other style before has a sous vide recipe. What it's going to allow you to do, though, is do it precisely, do it accurately, and to do it with confidence. But with Monogram, our sous vide attachment is handheld, fits in a silverware drawer, and just makes your induction cooktop that much more attractive. Let me think. Other than that, I think we pretty much covered everything except maybe a little bit on cleaning.
Before you do that, I got one quick question.
Yeah.
The question in the chat says wok cooking. Would you do that on the center burner?
Yeah, wok cooking on induction is a conversation I definitely have with my customers, because if someone comes in and they wok cook 3-4 times a week, it's their main method of cooking. Induction may not be the right product for them. If there's a customer that says, hey, I wok cook once a month, a few times a year, induction wok cooking would be perfect. The reason is because woks are not generally flat bottom. They're basically a bowl, right? And they're a bowl because of the inefficiencies of heat. Like I told you earlier, that heat kind of shoots up in a ring. If that bowl curves up, it allows the heat to wrap around the outsides of the wok and create a nice even cooking environment. Induction has flat bottom induction woks. When you make a wok flat bottom, basically what you've created is a saute pan, because it's flat bottom and it's just heating from the bottom, where woks want to heat from the whole sides. So with wok cooking, I'd be fine wok cooking on here. I'm not a wok chef. I don't cook in a wok ever at home, but So for me, if I was like, I want to get a wok, I'd be perfectly happy here. But the customer that wants to wok cook, that's a gas product. It's a high BTU. It's our pro range product that has wok holders, basically reversible wok grates built into every burner we have. But you know, you can still wok cook for sure. Anything else out there, guys? All right.
Questions on the chat.
Cool. Yeah, we're getting ready in the next, I think I'm starting my whole cleaning, shooting video series, whatever we're going to call it, hopefully next month, the beginning of next month. And I'm just going to really go through and get my hands dirty with you guys and send you some clips so you can share them with your clients or friends and families on how Chef John has found the best way to get out of the kitchen at the end of the night. And getting out of the kitchen at the end of the night is normally a sweet reward because we put a lot of hard work into our days. And what is not rewarding normally is cleaning my gas cooktop or my pro range, because even if I spend 15 minutes on it, in fact, I'm going to share some tips with an owner in the next couple of days. We're setting up a call for pro range cleaning. But you could still spend 15 minutes on your pro range, and my mother could come over and look over my shoulder and go, son, you missed a spot. That's not perfect, you know, and she's, you know, like most of us, that's where the bar is set, is if mom says it's good enough. Well, on Induction, I love it because there's a few different brands, be it Wyman, Ceramibrite. You need a glass cooktop cleaner and polishing solution here. And then they also come with this, I call it non-abrasive scrubby pad. If you have these two things and a little piece of paper towel, you do not need anything else. This scrubby pad, press as hard as you want. You will not scratch this. This polish here is great because after you add it in, all you do is run a paper towel over the top, and now it becomes your cleaner, your polish, and your shine too. So, you know, pro ranges, a lot of times we have a hard time getting all the grease off to begin with. And then when we go to polish it, all we're doing is really smearing grease around. Where on the Induction top, because it's glass, it's flat, that grease comes right off, leaves us with a perfectly clean, smooth, polished surface. And now my mother could walk over and look over my shoulder, and she'd say, nice job, son, I trained you right. So that's just a little bit about the cleaning. When you get into that seal there, just a wet paper towel, a cloth. I don't know if I have any left in here. I don't think I do. A lot of times I use a can of compressed air just to blow all the dust and grime out of there, and it keeps it really nice and clean. Anything else out there, guys?
I was trying to get off mute, John. So one more quick question, and this isn't in regards to Induction, but it's in regards to a pro range cooktop, and just any tips on how to clean the griddle and the cooking element.
Yeah, so pro range, a little, like I said, a little tougher. You're gonna wanna, the way I do it is I take my grates off, go ahead and set those in the sink, give those a little spray down. You can use like a 409 cleaner. If they're really bad, I even take a little like oven cleaner and we'll spot clean those grates in some of the areas. They're cast iron, so you don't want to do that too often. But you know, once a year or something, you want to spruce them up, touch them up. A little oven cleaner will take a lot of that baked on stuff. But generally, just like a 409 or a method cleaner, let them soak. Then really hot water rinse, and go ahead and use like even a blue scrubby or something to release some of that dirt. Once those grates are off on your pro range, you're going to leave your burner element exposed. Let me grab one. I've got one right here. So our burner elements are removable like this, and the cap comes off, and that's cast iron too. And I usually throw that in the sink with my other grates, give that a spray down, or if it gets some burnt on stuff on there, hit that with the oven cleaner. And then after you put oven cleaner on it, make sure you give it a really good rinse down. But then it leaves this guy exposed right here. These guys can definitely get gunked up, junked up. And this is like a powder coat finish on here, so you don't want to use anything highly abrasive on there. I'll actually take just some blue dish soap and rub it on there and let it soak for a little while, maybe even submerge the whole thing in some hot water. And then I'll use just a light, what are those things called? Magic eraser. I think it's a Mr. Clean product. And that takes a lot of the staining off of these too. When you get down to the drip pan, and I think, Alex, we're using a porcelain coated drip pan still. That porcelain coating is very easy to clean. It's similar, if not exactly the same as the coating that we have in the interior of our Pro Range ovens and our wall ovens. So you can actually, and I'll be very careful with that little oven cleaner. I always spray it on a paper towel, and then if I have a burnt on spot on that drip pan, I put that paper towel down, kind of like a compress on it, leave it for 15 minutes, it'll eat away that burnt on gunk, and you wipe it right up. When it comes to polishing that drip tray, I use a Windex product just to keep the streaks out. The griddle cleaning is going to be a whole nother conversation, but you're going to want to start with a nice griddle cleaning kit. And it has a griddle pad holder, and then comes with some very abrasive griddle pads made by 3M. 3M, I think, is the only ones that make that. And then I grab those pads and that griddle pad holder, and then I use like a 50-50 solution of vinegar and water while the griddle is on warm, and warm is about 100 degrees. And at 100 degrees, I dump that vinegar and water solution on there and just start polishing, start scrubbing, press as hard as you want. You are not going to hurt your griddle surface. It is a stainless steel surface. It's going to polish back to brand new. You do not really want it seasoned in a traditional sense of where it's black. It should always be nice and shiny. After you scrub it clean, scrape all that remaining liquid forward, maybe give another little sanitizing shot of that vinegar and water solution, and wipe it down with a paper towel or a towel, and turn it off until it cools, and put your cutting board back on and your cover. But again, I'm thinking that's going to be one of my first videos that I get out to folks next month.
Okay, well, awesome, John. That looks like that's all the feedback and questions that we have for today. So again, thank you guys all for joining us. We do have another table talk tomorrow with the Laura Umansky design team out of Houston, and they're going to talk all about the evolution of home design. So we hope you guys join us then. Otherwise, we'll send our weekly email recap and let us know if we can help with anything. Like we said, we have a lot of resources in place, and reach out to us and let us know how we can be assistance. Thank you all for your time today. Have a good one.